Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
You and I are kind of similar. You may even be more good-hearted than me. I feel like you. Well,
but in our longing hearts, we're all the same.
Mutual respect and
yes.
A boundary might have been crossed that you right.
That's
so
correct.
Just an example it is a great example. I appreciate that for giving me the example to even work with.
Let's be the change we want to see.
I've never seen differences negative. I've always been attracted to and intrigued by it. But we're looking for how are we similar? How are we the same? How can we all just get along?
We are links in a chain. Unimportant.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Hey. We are links in the chain. Y'all don't know. I party when that song comes on. Hey, everyone. I am Dr. Lynn, and I am one of your co-hosts of Working It Out Across Generations. And I am excited to be here today, but I don't have my regular co-host with me, Justin. Hey, Justin's traveling again, and I miss him because we have a great vibe together. Hey, we get along, but we also have times when we got to mix it up a little bit. But that's what this show is about. We talk all things conflict on Working It Out Across Generations, and we are here to help have the conversations, to give you some tips and ideas for how you might have your own conversations on these topics in your households, or at your workplaces, in your communities, and even on social media, right? And I just love it. I love being here. So thank you all for joining me today. We're going to be talking about, are you challenged by being an elder in the age of social media, and not just social media, but the age of the internet too? This is a topic for me that is so close to my heart. But before I say anything else, I got to do a couple of things. One is I want to dedicate today's show to my mom, Elanor, whose birthday was September 15th. Shout out to her as an elder, right? We're talking about elders today. I got to shout her out. I got to shout out my dad, David, cool Dave, we used to call him. And then my grandma, Shorty, because I'm going to tell a story about her today when you're talking about an elder giving advice that cracks me up still. So this show is dedicated to them. And then the other thing I want to do is just say, today I decided to be bling and comforting, because I love me some sweatshirts that are just really comforting in this weather. And the bling is from my girl, Andrea Harrison. The Bling Slinger Live is where you can check her out, where I don't know, she sells paparazzi, but I do not know if she still has these stunning blingers, but she's got a whole lot of stuff. And if you want to shop, then you go to the blingslinger.shop and you will be happy that you did. I know I'm happy wearing them. They just brought a smile to my face. So, hey, y'all, I want to really jump into this topic because I have to tell you, it has been on my heart and mind for a while. I'm 3 years short of, or shy of 70. I just had my 67th birthday, and I am not yet a grandmother, but I think about, like, what might that be should that happen, right? And one of the things that I think about a lot is there are things that happening now that I did not grow up with. And when I think about elders and the wisdom that they carry, I think about being able to come to them with things that I'm struggling with that I know they already struggled with. And I'm looking for their wisdom on that. Don't always mean I'm going to take the wisdom, but right. But still, to know that there's someone who is an elder, whether they're family or someone you just trust as an elder, to know that they've been through the struggles that you've been through, right? And they might be able to give you some good advice. So I'm going to start off with a story about my grandma Shorty, because she is, I'm going to tell you, she is where I really got this from. But wait, before I do that, shout out Coach Lena. Thank you for joining. Shout out Andrea, Chief Shine Officer, and the Bling Slinger. I'm just shouting y'all out. Thank y'all for joining today for this conversation, because it is something. All right. Hey, Tara, thank you for joining as well. So here's my story with my grandma Shorty, and I call her Shorty because she was shorter than me, and I'm 5'3". She was about 5 feet. And I was talking to her one day, and she was in her 70s at the time, very, like, a little older, probably 10 years older than me at the time. And she and I were talking about a family member that we were concerned about, who we really wanted to see if there was any way we could be helpful. And so she said to me, I hear this family member and her husband are going through some challenges. And I just need to ask you one question, because I'm telling her some of the things that I know about because I'm close with the family member. And she said, okay, I hear all of that, but I just need to ask you one question. I said, okay, what's the question? She said, what's the sex life like? Because if that's the problem, then that's a real problem. Like, if that's what the problem is, then they're going to have a whole lot of trouble. And just like I am now. So, what? Well, I don't know. They didn't discuss that with me, but I really want to hear your take on this. She talked to me about why she thought it was important, but right then and there, I said, wow. I already talking to her about a lot of stuff. I said, wow, this is a woman I can come to about anything. And while I'm not trying to be somebody who knows it all, I would really love for the youngins in my life to feel like that about me. But how do you do that when some of the challenges are just not things that we have been through? So to prepare myself for this, a shout out, hey, Gordon, I see you slipped in. Thank you. To prepare myself for this, I looked at, like, what are the top 5 things that millennials are really finding that they can't really come to the, like, elders, the boomers and underneath, right? generation about, because they haven't really been through it. And even though they want to give good advice, they're not giving advice that's based in experience. So they'll say things like, well, I don't know why y'all are spending so much time on that anyway. These kids need to. That's not helpful, right? They can't say, well, when I was going through this, here's the things that I did. So let's talk about that, right? First thing is the fact that technology is so integrated into school, because for me, I'm quick to say, my gosh, all these little kids are on screens. Why do they have tablets? Why are they already working on computers? Like, what's going on? But they're saying that I keep my kids off screens as much as I can, but that's how they do 90% of their schoolwork. So even preschool, right? They got to come into school. They got to know the alphabet. They want them to come in reading, and they've replaced in a lot of kindergarten classes and even in some preschools nap time, because the kids have to be on task and up to grade, and it's early. And so what do you do? Because I came from, when my kids, the biggest struggle we had was video games. How do we make sure that they're not spending all their time on video games? And I shout out to my sons and to my husband, Warren. We didn't grow up on video games. You know what, Pac-Man, not the way the generation, right? Not the way my sons did. So we didn't really know. We had to measure. But one of the things that I know is I wanted them outside, because I know I played outside a lot. I wanted them outside, and I wanted to honor that they really loved video games. And then we did this whole piece with no violent ones. I know you can't keep them from it if they go into other people's houses, but in our house, it was going to be sports. And they did a really good job. I have to say that both of my sons were as excited about going outside to play ball with their friends as they were to be in the house doing video games. But this early screen time, that really was not my issue. So how do we help talk about that if we haven't been through that? There's also, so that's number one. That was the top one, right? There's also this increased demand for entertaining your child. And let's think about it. It's not that everything was so safe when we were coming up, but now safety is a huge issue, even though I do have to say that when I go to parks, walk past parks, I see a lot of parents, caretakers on their phones, on their screens. And I know for me, I spend a lot of time just either watching my kids or playing with them. My eyes were on them as they had fun, or I was engaged with them. But they're saying there's so much demand for their time as parents, or even as if you're not a parent, there's so much demand for your time socially, right? Or you're working a lot. And so our generation, we had a lot more time as kids to be outside, and we knew the deal. You had to be in when the lights went out, or before they went out, or you smelled dinner cooking, something like that, right? We knew all of that. But I know that my mom sometimes worked, sometimes she didn't, but there wasn't this exhaustion, right, that seems to permeate not just parents, but even young folk in their 20s and 30s. And part of it is the whole mental health piece, but it's a big deal. All right, I want to see what y'all are saying. Okay. Okay, Bling Slinger said, you remember when your cousin got Atari, right? And it's not the same as video games, right? But it's not. But also, it is truth, like Lena is saying, right? Technology is such a major part of their daily lives. And for me, I don't know about you, Lena, but for me, that just was not real, right? That didn't happen at all. The only reason technology was a part of my life is because my mom oh, bless her, she loved and was interested in computers. She was troubleshooting computers for a major company, Philip Morris, which is no more, but y'all know we went to General Foods, all kinds of stuff. They morphed into that, but she was troubleshooting, and she left this earth at 60 years old. And she was the person everyone called to get their computers fixed. And she was way ahead of her time, but that's the only reason technology came in my life. And I was an adult then. So it's very, very different now to try to help young people limit screen time if they have kids or even for themselves. It's easy to say, well, just stay off social media or just turn your phone off. I mean, let's be honest, some of us can't do that either. I know I'm an entrepreneur, and that's why I have to be on technology the way I'm on technology, but not everybody is like that. And it is not easy to get off of it. Some of us, once we learn how it can improve our lives, we're not the ones that can actually give advice on how to stay off of it either. So that's another one. And then there is this constant judgment, right, of how much time is spent on the internet or social media. And so there's this feeling that they're being scrutinized by those of us who we did other things. We were outside. We went and visited folks. We went, right? We're busy judging them, mostly because we don't have experience with what they're going through. So it's easy to say, hey, I don't know why you're even giving that much time or why you even care what people think. Why are you on social media and caring what folks say about you? It was hard enough in person, right? So you want to talk about something like cyberbullying. It was hard enough in person to be bullied, but imagine, and honestly, all I can do is imagine what it is like to be bullied on cyber space, right? In the cyberspace. It is overwhelming. I am certain, but I'm only certain because I think that that's what it's like, has to be like, not because I can tell you a story about when it happened to me. I can tell you a story about when I was bullied face to face, yes, but I can't do that one. And then the other thing is that for them, the help, being helped by the older generation, the elders, that it's different now. First of all, I know for me, the longest time, my family was all in the Bronx. And then people moved away for better lives, for better opportunities, especially we're in New York. So there's a whole lot better ways of living than living in New York. Shout out to New York, though. Love you, Bronx, all day. But there are better ways of living life. And so people move away. So how do you have a relationship with your children? If you have grandchildren on Zoom, yeah, you could still see them. That's great, but it is a very different thing than it was in our generation. So how do you give advice around that issue of building that relationship? Yes. Andrea, you said my mother scrolled social media watching reels every day and loved it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. We can't get off of it. How do we give advice on how younger folks get off of it? Yep. Absolutely. Let me check out what y'all are saying, because y'all are in this. Okay, so Gordon, let me see. Gordon, they got mad. She and I was too close to the screen. Today we are glued. Oh, I forgot about that. Gordon, I forgot about that. They sure would get on us about being too close to the screen. But we had the little TV. And hey, I'm older than you. I had black and white for a while. So you really wanted to get a better picture, you had to get closer, but I completely forgot about that. But today we are absolutely glued to the screen. All right, let me see. My parents only approved tech was the scientific calculator, right? And you had to plead your case for that, right? Let me tell you, I don't even remember. Then that calculator. I'm really dating myself. I already told y'all my age, but they really did not have calculators. We had to do math by hand. Tara said, I believe practicing having healthy boundaries set. So the adults should set the example or precipitate what the boundaries are. I've seen some kids being raised by TV and social media. Yeah. But Tara, did you grow up on social media or having a lot of tech so that you can talk about it from the experience? That's the challenge that I'm finding elders are talking about and having today, is that I think it's a great idea to set boundaries. But when they come back with, but how do you know what I'm going through if you haven't been through it? We could get offended. We could say, well, I'm pretty smart. I have an idea that this could work. But we can't say, well, let me tell you a story about when my mom had to deal with that. When I put my mom through that whole mess. We really can't do that. And so is that really changing the dynamics of things as we are living and progressing in this new age world? Are the dynamics being changed? Okay, so Lena said they care about mental health, so we can approach from that angle. And I love it. And I honestly have to say, we can approach from that angle as long as we are willing to say, no, I haven't been through this. So you may have to trust your gut on this, but here's what my thoughts are around this. And then talk from there. But it is humbling to do that for a lot of us. I come from my folks in the South. Their thing is, well, you don't want to listen to me. I ain't had to deal with that mess. So I'm not going to say anything. You go out there and you make a mess of things, that's on you, because it's something I don't know about. And honestly, I don't really care to know about it. So that's a really difficult place for our youngins to be in if we don't have, as elders, the humility, right, to say, it's not really my lane, but here's what I've observed, right? Or here's my best thoughts on this. Okay, so one more. I did not grow up on social media. I had MySpace. Okay. I had MySpace when I got married in 2001. LOL. I got Facebook when Madison was born in 2006. Yeah. So it is a different experience. We've come into social media in a lot of different ways, and we've come to the internet. I mean, honestly, as a boomer, there are not a lot of people my age. Some people more so my age are able to do things like get on Zoom and just be able to maneuver a little bit on that, but they're not really tech savvy. So you're talking about something that is way over their head, way out of their lane. And as I said, is it changing the dynamics of things? Now, one thing that it reminds me of is when families come over here and parents don't speak English, but they make sure that their kids learn it, right? And the kids oftentimes, hopefully, are bilingual, but they at least learn English. Well, what happens when they have to go and do something, go to any of the agencies, when they need someone to talk on the phone for them, when they need bills paid? The dynamics now shift because the power, whether kids know it or not, and eventually they do, the power is in the hands of the children because they understand and they can also interpret and say what they need to say and want to say in the situation. And I have seen that happen because I did a lot of work in schools, and I could see that the parents, though still the parents and in charge, were giving up some power because they didn't understand the language, but their children did. All right, Gordon has a concern that with AI, the youth of today pay more attention probably to technology trends and definitions rather than proper research and face-to-face discussion. Yes, I see that dynamic as well that has shifted. And that means also, Gordon, that there's less face-to-face with us unless we really work on making sure that we have constant, consistent, open communication with our young people, because the truth is they can get their answers without us. They may not be as good and loving and healthy and as safe as we would give them, but they can get them. I find myself doing that too. I'll say, oh, I need to call so-and-so, ask so-and-so about this. No, I don't. I can Google that. I got my answer. So therefore, I'm not calling you. There's that distancing. We're losing touch with one another. We're losing the opportunities to really talk with one another. And that, for me, is a huge, huge, huge concern. Tara says, I love what technology can do and all the ways it benefits us and brings people together, etc. It's just when the kids are wrapped up in social media, means less time with family and connection. And Tara, I agree with that. And for some folks, it also means, oh, I get a break. And look, any of us who parented, we know that it can be exhausting and you are looking for ways to get a break. And unfortunately, technology can be something that could give you a really long break. And before you know it, before you look up, communication, that door to communication is not as open as it could have been. Because I agree with you, Tara, there are so many advantages that we have because of technology. But where's the playbook for folks? They're learning as we're learning. We're all kind of learning this because it changes so quickly too. And then we know the young folks are the experts unless we keep up on it, right? And the kids are the experts. That's what I'm saying. The dynamic is changing so much that if we aren't paying attention and really making the effort, then things are going to shift to the place where, as Gordon said, they're not talking to us. They're searching for their answers, and the quick ones, from AI. They're searching from the answers. Before, it used to be their peers, and it is still their peers after a certain age. When you start getting into the tween years, it is still their peers that they are searching for answers from and modeling themselves after. But we as elders need to really pay attention to keeping them close enough that they still honor, right, what it is that we have to share with them. And we make it a point to learn from them too. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about is how do we keep our role as elders, cement that, right? Have them coming to us as we did. And probably many of you, I don't have, my elders are not alive anymore, but all of you who have them, right? You probably still go to them to try to find some wisdom for the situations that you're going through. So how do we do that? What are the steps to that? We've got to be open to listening and not advising. Yes, we can give great advice. We've learned a lot in our years and our experiences. But if we understand how technology is changing things so much, we also have to be the kind of elders that are open to listening without giving advice in many circumstances. There are things that we know plenty about that we did go through, that they're going through or have been through, that they can certainly get our experience from. But the things that we really haven't, can we listen to what it is they're sharing with us? Can we listen without the judgment too, and without saying, well, I just think, if we really don't have the experience? I want us to really be open to that. The second thing is, don't try to compare it to something from your generation. Well, when we were kids, this, if you want to tell stories from your generation, that's great. Why not? I think that's how you keep history and love alive, is to share those stories. But comparing what we went through to what they're going through, not the same thing. I heard somebody say, oh my gosh, we were so much tougher in our generation. These kids that just break down. I didn't have social media in my generation. I didn't have exposure to hundreds of opinions about me, breaking me down to every single thing I did, and people that I didn't know. I didn't have that kind of pressure. I didn't have the kinds of pressures that come with being on technology. So I can't compare that we were so tough in our generation. I think the generations today are tough as well. And in fact, we weren't even encouraged to look at mental health and the toughness it took to get through things. We just had to get through it, right? So please, as elders, talk about our generation, share those things, those stories that are great, but don't try to compare, especially in judgment against our young people. The third thing is empower them to seek some answers for themselves. I'll tell you for myself, I was never encouraged to think for myself about some of the things that were troubling me, that were challenging me. I was always taught to seek an adult, and especially my parents too. We know best. I can remember I was in college, home from college, and I was saying to my parents that I felt like they were just way too controlling. And I remember my dad saying, well, who knows you better than we do? And I said, how about me? And I probably didn't, only because they never really asked me to check within myself for my own wisdom. So yes, I was at college and I had to make decisions for myself, but I honestly wasn't as used to it as I was used to going to my parents or my grandmother and asking them like what they thought I should do. It's time to really let them know you have some answers for yourself within. And listen, I'm a God person. One thing I say over and over again, the best thing that I ever taught my sons, my husband and I both, is to have a relationship with God and to pray. Now, I know that prayer can take some time. However, the answers are within you if you do that. And if you really search within yourself for the wisdom that's there. I'm going to stop for a minute because I see the comment section blowing up. So I'm going to come back and see what you said. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. Listening without judgment. So actually, I'm going to start at the top here. Kevin and I were doing much less talking and interacting when I stayed on my phone all the time. Beautiful, Tara, right? Because that creates a barrier to talking. And we can get used to not talking if we let that be the norm in our households. Yes. Andrea, that's the biggest thing I miss about mom, her wisdom, right? Those stories that really could give you some thoughts, and it could create even some thoughts within you. because there is wisdom that is in us that they planted in us. Yes. Gordon said we should not compare, but there is wisdom in some of our past experiences to help young people of today navigate and prepare for the fit. For the fit or the future for the fit, I'll take it. I agree. I absolutely agree. As long as we are not making ourselves stronger, better, right? But simply sharing for maybe there's something in there, and that might be a way to start it. I don't know. There might be something in this story, my experience for you, even though it's not the same situation. I think that they can appreciate that so much because then they know that we are saying, I didn't have this experience, but I certainly want to help you if I can. And perhaps this might be able to do that for you. Loving it. All right, let's move on. Okay, hang on. I gotta go back, y'all. Okay, I gotta take you off, Gordon. This is why Justin says stop touching stuff. But how am I gonna learn if I don't touch stuff? All right, let's move. I can't wait till he watches this replay and says, oh Lord, what did she do? Next, number 4, be encouraging and empathetic. Yeah. Be encouraging. You can do this. It's not my situation. Haven't been through it, but I bet you can get through it. And have empathy for them. We didn't go through this. Maybe we wouldn't have made that same mistake. However, they did. We can understand if we understand that that's really what we're here for, y'all, to make mistakes. And while mine might not be the same as yours, it certainly doesn't make me better than you that you made this particular mistake. Well, why would you do that? Or why don't you just shut down the social media? Why don't you take them off of it? Why don't you stop giving them the phone? Why don't you? Sorry that happened to you. That's a tough situation, right? Sounds like you really made a mistake that you are now regretting. You can still get past this. You can still do this. It's okay. Let's see how we can try to help you through this. That's opening and keeping the door open for that kind of communication to where they'll want to come back to you, even if they're not sure or if they know for sure you have not experienced what it is they're going through. But let's get up on things. We're still here. We still got our minds. We still got our hearts. Still got our bodies. Let's do some research. Maybe we won't be in the same situations as them, but I love reading up on things and seeing, wow, that's what's happening today. Woo, wow, young people going through a lot today because I didn't experience that, but these are the things that are happening. These are the things that they're going through. Justin's always on this show teaching me some stuff about what young people can do, especially with technology, right? Oh, Mom, we can get around that easily. You can set that rule. You can set that boundary, but I'm telling you, young people are getting past that all the time. I don't want to say, oh, well, I don't want to hear about that because they should be obeying the rules. I want to say, really? Well, how are they doing that? I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm not encouraging him to break rules. I'm just want to know, how's that happening? What are the ways that young people are getting around things? Because a lot of that, I mean, look, we got hackers. Every time they come up with something to stop the hacking, they go around that and they're hacking even more. We're buying more products to protect this, protect our screens, protect our homes, protect our credit cards. And then there's a new thing coming out that they already got around the old stuff. So do some research. What's happening in our young people's lives? What are the challenges that they're facing? And whether or not we face them or not, we can say, hey, I read about that. That's interesting. Tell me more about that experience. So I heard that that's happening. I'm wondering how y'all are dealing with that, because that seems like a really big challenge. The last one is no shaming or comparing generational problems. Uh, Shame is a huge part of our society. I honestly, shame never worked with me. It made me be ashamed, but it didn't help me to learn anything from the experience or to do something different. What shame did was it sent me underground. I started hiding the behaviors, the mistakes, because I did not want to be shamed. And I also didn't really see a way out of shame. It just felt like if I was going to make mistakes, then one of the things that I was going to have to deal with was to be shamed. And then I came from the generation where my mom, they talked about you out in public with other adults. I can remember I had a kidney infection one summer, and I've come to find out it's because I didn't drink water. Now, let me tell you something. I wasn't an adult at that time. So if I wasn't drinking water, who was responsible for making sure that I was drinking a lot of water? I'll say I had a responsibility, but shouldn't it have been my parents too? But okay, I'm going to take them off the hook. Any case, I didn't drink a lot of water. I got a kidney infection. I remember walking down the street, running into a woman who was a parent of one of my classmates. I didn't know her well. She walked up to me, shook her finger in my face, and said, "Shame on you for not drinking water and then getting that kidney infection." What was I supposed to do with that? Did that help me in any way? It certainly did not. And in fact, not only did it make me feel embarrassed and bad, but it also, I won't say eroded the trust, but it took away some trust that I had of my parents. I couldn't understand why that needed to be shared with the community, with the neighborhood. And again, underground things that I started doing so that I didn't have to tell them and reveal. That's what shame did to me. So let's not do the shaming of them. Shame on you for letting that 3-year-old have that screen or be on the screen. Shame on you for letting them have their phone all that time. Shame on you for getting a 10-year-old an iPhone. Let's again try the listening and empathy skills. And let's not do the, well, in my time, that would have never happened. I can remember my mother saying that to me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's not your time. So why are we even talking about this? Let's be the kind of elders that continue to open the door and keep it open for that genuine, compassionate conversation. All right, so I'm opening the doors for some more. Okay, so Tara, you can't say, yes, I had the same experience, and you got to tell me what the same experience you had. Tara says, yes, I agree. Empower them with hope. Love that one. If we don't have hope, if they don't have hope, and you see what's happening out here, the climate is one that is easy for especially a lot of our young people to lose hope. So we got to give them hope. We've got to give them confidence. You can do this. You can make it through. I'm always saying, I'm sharing with my sons, our ancestors, the things they went through, not just me, but the things our ancestors went through, and they made it, right? So the confidence and then the non-judgmental support. Andrea, I see that remark. Gordon and I were just saying, when Justin watches, he's going to say, why are you touching everything? Yes, he is. And guess what? I love it. I love seeing the comments, and I love learning how to touch everything. Yes. So Tara, thank you. Shame doesn't work. I don't think it does. It's still very much a viable solution for a lot of adults in our society. They seem to really think that it does work. I personally feel like it doesn't. I'm not saying, yeah, I am saying, I don't know what good it does. I'm not saying that it's not okay to feel remorse for something that you did that was wrong, right? And then take accountability and try to see if you can make up for it in some way. But I don't see shame as taking that same role. I really don't. I feel like it is just meant to make us feel less than and feel like you were given that assignment, we trusted you, and now look what you did with it. You messed it up. I saw something else I wanted to say. Okay, thank you. Okay, that was your parents' responsibility. And thank you. Yes, when I got the kidney infection because I didn't drink water, that was their responsibility, but I got shamed because, again, that's a tool that seems to be very popular even back then, and that has not changed at all. All right. So here's what I want to say. I want to say that I took a lot of time to grow into my elder role. This country, society is very youth-based, right? Everybody's got to look young and vibrantly youthful, and that is what seems to be what everybody's after. And I know you may not be including that everybody, but you know what I'm saying. The overall message is youth is the thing to aspire to. And it's not everybody even uses the term elder. Some people are just like they're old, you're old, or the elderly, meaning that there's something wrong and decrepit and falling apart about you as you age. And we all age. And honestly, one of the things I got to say is that a lot of people don't make it to my age. Far too many people don't make it to my age. So for me, I really had to sit with myself and say, you're an elder. What are you going to do with that responsibility? How do you make yourself the kind of elder that young folks look up to, not just in the way that you carry yourself and the work that you do in the world, but not just because of the person that you are, but also because the way in which you interact with them, the way in which you encourage them to come to you if they need to, or to be in the world in a way where they look forward to down the line when they too will be an elder and they can share some of that wisdom with the younger generation. We have to start learning the skills of communicating in ways that allow them to understand that while we have not shared in the same experience, and while technology is constantly changing, you can still come to us. And something interesting for folks who are still here, I'm wondering your thoughts on this. I can remember in my 20s, I had moved out, had my own place, the whole nine, right? And I moved to Brooklyn because I wanted to be away from my parents. I didn't move out of state because I came from that family. You still want to be where you can get to your parents, but I wanted to be somewhere where they couldn't just walk out their door and find me in 5 to 15 minutes. But I can remember my own place, right? Own responsibilities. My mom saying to me, I will never be your friend. I'm always going to be your mother. Therefore, I am always going to tell you what I think of what you're doing. And, I would be remiss as your mother if you made a certain mistake and I did not say something about it. And I can remember saying to myself, well, then we are never going to be the kind of mother and daughter that's going to have conversations like I really want and really need to have, because I believe I will always be my son's mom, but there is a role for me to play in being a friend that is not here to mom you in this moment. It doesn't take away that hat, that role, that respect, because I get tremendous respect from my sons. Trust and believe. But I do believe that there is a time for me to mom them, and those times are less and less as they make their own choices, decisions, and lives. They know I'm here, they can come, and they do. But there's also a time where I can be your friend. Let's go out. Let's just have a good time. Let's have dinner. Let's talk. Tell me what's going on. And you know what? I am going to do everything I can to not react as your mom. But what would I say as a friend to you in this moment? And I don't know what people think about that one, but I know that I've had a lot of time to think about it since my mom said that to me, because I know for me, I could have used someone who knew me that well, was close to me that long. I could have used their friendship in the moment to be encouraging, to learn, to lend an ear, and to not shame me or discredit my decisions, and to give me the confidence and the courage to keep moving forward in ways that I did better, right? But acknowledging the mistake that I made. Thank you, Andrea. I'm grateful for you in this conversation as well, because I'm going to tell you, we have got to keep those doors open. We have got to keep the lines open, because our young people need us and we need them. We need to be able to share what we've gained, because we've gained a lot. And if we do it in ways where it is helpful and hopeful, I love that word, helpful and hopeful, then they're going to keep coming to us, even as things change as rapidly as they are changing. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Thank you for giving your comments. Shout out to the Shine crew and your support. I thank you, and everybody else who is watching. I am absolutely grateful that you tuned in, because without you, I'm just talking to myself. And as much as I love to hear myself talk, and as much as I love me, I don't want to be here talking to myself. We created this show so that we can open up communication and be helpful to those of you who aren't thinking about conflict in the same ways that we may be thinking about it, because conflict comes in all kinds of ways and places. And the more we can engage in it with confidence and tools, really skillful tools, the better the conversation is going to be, and the better our society is going to be. Look around, folks. We need lessons in communication badly. And that's what Working It Out Across Generations is here to do. Next week, Justin will be back. I miss you, Justin. I know the audience misses you, but I feel like I'm holding it down. So if you want to watch us, right, you can check us out at e360tv.com, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV. You can also watch us on our Facebook page, Working It Out TV show. Catch us on YouTube at Working It Out Across Generations. And if you want to send us an email with your thoughts, show ideas, comments, no shame. Write us at Working It Out Across the Generations at e360tvlive.com. Let me see what else we got before we go. Let's see. Thank you. Okay, hang on. I had to reconcile a long time ago that I wouldn't have the type of relationship with my mom that I'd hoped we would. God is still faithful and healing our relationship. I'm glad that your mom is still here for that to happen. Tara, and I'm believing with you for it. Yes. And yes, you heard that we're not friends. I know a lot of people heard that. Thank you, Andrea. Great show. Absolutely love. Thank you. Justin, you want to see this. I absolutely loved how you read the comments and interacted with your audience. Great conversation. I love y'all so much. All of you, everybody who tuned in. And let me leave you with this one thing that we say every week. Conflict is here to teach us something about ourselves. So go out there and learn what it is for you. I am Dr. Lynn, and this is Working It Out Across Generations. Be safe out there. Have a great rest of the week and weekend.
With a name, but in our longing hearts, we're all the same. We can make it happen, turn things around. Let's be the change